So before we get into the game, we're going to take a look at a couple of the key components of the know-nothing style, of the idea of living Go. We're going to start with some famous concepts that Kajiwara wrote really erudite about. He was very, very good at explaining these things, and they were a key component of living Go and the know-nothing style. And we're going to take it directly from one of his books that I have back here on the edge there, which is The Direction of Play. Now, the direction of play is a concept about the directions that your stones are pointing in, which at first, mulling over, sounds very strange. How can stones have a direction? They're circular, right? But this concept of the direction of play is going to develop into a sense for the flow of the game, which I'm sure some of you have heard before when you're looking at old game records and reviews. You'll hear that it's at this point that a player lost control over the flow of the game. And we'll look at some famous examples later from Shusaku and even from Kajiwara himself. But we're going to start really basically because these are things that can help your game, especially in the opening when the board is so open. So we're going to start with the star stone. The star stone has three directions. It's pointing toward the sides and the middle of the board. When you play a star stone, you are saying, I don't really care much about the corner because we know by now with the AI that it's very easy to take the corner away. So the star stone's direction of play, the influence that it has on the board, is all outward. And so it's very easy to think that the direct opposite of the star stone is the 3-3. The 3-3 maybe has some influence toward the sides, but it also has a stronghold on the corner. So when we play the 3-3 point, we're saying we want the territory in the corner, and if white approaches, we would jump, and so we're also getting some of the side, right? And if white caps, we would still get to pick one of the sides, right? So the next corner move that we all know is the 3-4, the komoku. This move has some more influence pointed toward this side of the board, as well as a little bit of the corner. There's a strong chance you can take the corner, right, if you enclose your corner, right? But what we're going to see here is the 3-4 point itself is especially concerned with its enclosures. With the 4-4 and the 3-3, you already have a complete corner. That's part of the modernization of the opening, is you don't have to come back and enclose your corner. From a 4-4 or a 3-3, you've already said what you're doing with this corner. You can have the corner territory. I'm going to go for some mojo building or some more speedy opening styles. I'm going to take this in one move. That's what you're saying with these two moves. With the 3-4 or the 5-4 or the 5-3, these moves all are connected to the corner, but you haven't taken it completely yet. You need to come back and enclose it. And so how do you understand the direction of play for this move? Well, if you look at this enclosure, let's say a knight's move enclosure, we know that the next move we want to play to expand this area is over here. So this is the direction that our corner is facing. It's facing this way. So this is it's still an extension from your corner, but it's low. It's not the direction that we want. It's not bad, right? If white takes this direction, we don't want him to take both. We would maybe extend here, or better balance would maybe be here, right? But this is the direction that we want. The reason being is we can now build what's called a bowl here for the territory. Rather than here, if we move these moves over to here, it just looks kind of like a tray. It can still get squashed down much easier, right? Compared to this shape, where it's harder for white to come in here, right? or even if he plays the shoulder hit, right? You could play something like this and you've got a nice box of an area. So the direction of play for this corner enclosure is the direction it's facing. This is another common corner enclosure, right? The one space high corner enclosure. This is more interesting. You kind of have two directions that you want to play. This is now a better move because you're making a good balance, 2 high stones, 1 low stone, and this is a good shape. But this is also a good shape. We still like this shape too. This is still a nice boxy shape. So this high stone gives you more development potential to the left here, if we're starting from this corner enclosure. This corner enclosure has 2 directions of play. But of course, the weakness to it, because there's no perfect corner enclosure, is that white can approach here and now your corner can get undercut. This also serves the same with a high 2-space enclosure. We can still go in these directions. Same thing goes for the low large knight's move. We would still prefer this direction over this direction. So you can see that with a little bit of thought, your stones do have a directionality toward them. So at the beginning, when you're thinking about your corners and where you want to play next, think about the direction of play that's good for you, but also the direction of play that's good for your opponent. That's the next expanding out of this idea. So let's take a very common opening, the one that I showed you earlier against my friend, where I play these rotating points and he plays 2 star points. Now, you are black, it's your move. I want you to enclose a corner. The question being, which one? A classic all the points to you if you guessed the upper right. This is the enclosure that we want if we're going to enclose a corner. Now, I suggested you approach kind of thing when I was saying I know this man's style, but if we're going to enclose in a corner, this one is the important one. This one is still good. This isn't a bad move, but this is the higher priority. Why? The direction of play. So if you are white, let's say just for example that black plays a splitting move. Your turn. You can approach one of these corners. So this is the direction black wants to play, and black wants to play this way too. Okay? But if you're white, your star stone is radiating power this way, outward, and it's radiating power right toward that corner where there's this approach move just waiting for you. The weak side of the komoku is facing the star stone, which is why when you played the star stone here, you're setting up an approach move. We could even do it this way, a classic 2-space high, which I like. If you play this move, it works with your star stone. Those stones are connected. And you are also taking away this enclosure from black, which would lead to this direction. So for example, how this would work. If in response to this, you played an enclosure down here, and black played a 2-space high, and now you don't want to give your opponent two enclosures, right? That's bad opening theory. We should approach. So we approach. We've already pointed at the stone. Let's approach. It's kind of a long space pincer. Now for black, your direction of play is up here. You have a nice high enclosure facing this direction. You could jump here, right? But now white gets to extend, and he's taken away your nice extension. So this is one of those times where if you've watched my course on the 5-3 move, if you have support, a pincer can work. If you've watched Vadim's course on the basic opening, we know that maybe pincers aren't so great, but if you have support, they can be. And this is one of the times where you do have a lot of support. So weakened pincer, a nice 3-space pincer, a good extension from your corner, set up by your enclosure. So white's not making mistakes per se. The game isn't over. But in Kajiwara's mind, if he was looking at this game, he would, no. You've made a very large mistake, my friend. Are you an idiot? You let him enclose your corner and pins. He's getting everything he wants. What's wrong with you? No. Go back. This was your mistake. This was your mistake. In Kajiwara's mind, these are mistakes. You have a starstone facing an open komoku approach. Now, I would say, once again, taking into consideration your high move, a low move is maybe not matching. It's incongruent. And so Kajiwara would probably say the same. You've played high in that spirit, keeping these moves alive in your mind. The board is alive, right? You're playing with the game. You probably want to play a high approach. At Kajiwara's time, it would probably have been a 1-space high approach. And now black can play under. Oops. And now, continuing, white has made a nice little extension here, and he's looking to maybe make a moyo later. Now, you are black in this situation. Maybe your splitting move wasn't the best, but now it's your turn. Where is the direction of play? All right, this one's harder, okay? Because black has made somewhat of a territorial-like opening. When you play a splitting move, you are telling your opponent that you want to make small chunks out of the board. And so in this case, it's to black's advantage to try and continue that. Make the board into small chunks. A great start would be doing something with your stone here. We would probably not like to let white maybe push out like this, or in the modern day, white would maybe do something like this. Now his area up here is looking rather big. If you take a moment and you think about the flow of the game, think about where the moves are going to go, the proper move is probably here. Why? White is most likely going to kick, black stands, and then white is going to jump. Most likely. All right? They might do something different, but you already have your 3-space extension from your wall. And the reason white is most likely going to do this is because he already has this up here. If he plays somewhere else, like down here, and you get to do a double space approach, you've got what you wanted as black. You've made a very cut up board. And white was looking to make some kind of moyo up here. And now it's just gone. It's just a little 3-space extension now, and his corners looks to be in trouble. This would be good for black. So white is most likely going to protect his investment. And black gets sente again. If you did it this way, this is not wrong. But again, white doesn't necessarily need to worry about this high stone. He's got, it's light. It can move still, even if black approaches it from the other side. So white would maybe take this opportunity to help out his corner, or put some pressure, or even come over here and approach black's corner, or he can jump here. This would be not a mistake, but it doesn't feel like it fits the flow. White doesn't have to respond to you, so there's no flow connected to it. You've lost the flow. Coming back, we could approach. And now white would be in some serious trouble at this point. He might come this way. And if you're black, you can leave it as this if you want, and come back here. You've got this approach, which works well. And this is a nice balance. But another thing to notice here in the flow of the game is white's not exactly doing bad either. The game isn't bad for anybody. A game that has really a nice feeling of flow to it will look a lot like Shusaku's games, or especially when Shusaku played against Shua. They had these beautiful flowing games where no one's really winning or losing throughout the end and someone wins by 1 or 2 points. But at that point, it doesn't matter. You watched this beautiful flowing game where both players were sensitive to the other one and where they were playing and where the stones were moving. So when you look at this board right now, black doesn't have an advantage, white doesn't have an advantage. There's this beautiful flow that's come.
By the way, you can also watch these lessons on our platform, gomagic.org. Except there, you'll watch them with interactive quizzes right within the lessons and practical exercises right after them. And if you enjoy watching these Go videos and you don't want to miss others like this one, go smash that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and this is Go Magic.